Though we have all traveled many uncertain roads, we have always recognized something wasn't right. We searched high and low, yet our paths had never intersected. Our desire to seek truth, then to speak true, has brought us all together. That thing of ours is rooted in truth, because truth is the only unshakable foundation. In the greatest book, it states in John 8:32, "For ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free."
Truth is a powerful force. It is the foundation on which all great achievements are built, and the bedrock of trust and respect in any relationship. When we are rooted in truth, we can be confident that our decisions and actions are grounded in reality rather than in speculation or wishful thinking.
The pursuit of truth is not always easy. It requires courage, perseverance, and a willingness to face uncomfortable facts. But in the end, the truth is always worth it. It allows us to make better decisions, to build stronger relationships, and to create a more just and equitable world.
From politics and world events to entertainment and pop culture, we've got you covered. We'll explore our history and the stories that matter to uncover the truth that lies at the heart of each one. With our fingers on the pulse of the news cycle, we'll provide the insights and analysis you need to stay informed and engaged. As we stay rooted in truth and let the truth guide us in all that we do, let us be willing to listen, to learn, and seek out the facts, even when they challenge our own assumption or belief.
Let us never forget that the pursuit of truth is not just an individual endeavor, but a collective one. Only by working together
With honesty and integrity,
can we build a better future for ourselves
And for generations to come.
This is That Thing of Ours. How's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us today on this Thursday, 7th of August. Yeah? Yeah, 7th of August, 2025. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, Locals, and Pill.net.
And if you haven't already, please take a minute and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on Rumble or YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on pill.net, take that red pill. And if you're on Facebook, you have like 7 choices. So clickety click away.
Clickety click, everybody. And we appreciate all of y'all being here. We, excited y'all are here for us. Don't know why, but we love y'all.
Exactly. Let's say hi to the fam.
Hi to the fam.
Got Chad in the house.
What's up, Chad?
Got Aaron in the house.
Hey, Aaron. What's going on, man?
We got Hope in the house.
Hi, Hope.
And we have Carol,
There's Carol.
And Dawn.
She's not drinking, driving us to work so we can lurk. All right, well, have fun at work, ladies. There you are.
There she is.
There she is. Hey.
There's Liberty.
What's up, Liberty?
Did we say hi to Angie?
I think so. Well, hi, Ange.
I'm losing it. There's Miss Steph.
There's Steph. Good evening.
Good evening. How's everyone doing on this wonderful Thursday?
Hope y'all are having an amazing day.
I hope you guys are.
Yeah. I mean,
hope
it's Thursday. We're closer to the end of the week, so that should work out for everybody.
I hope Mike had a safe flight.
Yeah.
And is fine.
Yeah, even though he's in Virginia.
I know.
Near DC. Terrifying.
Terrifying. Ugh.
Good luck to you, sir.
Just loves it.
Good luck to you, sir.
Are you ready?
Godspeed. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Would you read that, please?
Sweetly. All right, here we go. Tulsi Gabbard says, the deep state's propaganda playbook is only possible through complicit legacy media.
Ooh, let's listen.
I mean, yeah.
You heard the media reaction. A lot of these same people were just buying lock, stock, and barrel what was sold to them during the 2016 election. But they're essentially saying, this is all old news. This is such a stupid political move on their part. Into that, you say?
They are using the same old tactic that the deep state's propaganda arm in the media uses. Whenever they come across something that is true and that doesn't go along with whatever their narrative is that they're trying to shove down the throats of the American people, they first usually ignore it, as they did when I first released these documents a couple of weeks ago. They tried to ignore it. When they realized that they weren't going to get away with this, that this story was going to continue breathing life, we continued releasing new documents. Then they decided, oh, we'll take this approach of say, oh, this is nothing. There's nothing really to see here. This is bizarre. This is a conspiracy. These are the things that they do over and over and over again. And the next step they will take when they feel that they are not succeeding in getting rid of this truth that we have uncovered for the American people, then they will go down the route of we must destroy and smear and attack the credibility of those who are delivering the truth to the American people. They've done this to President Trump. They've done this to me. They've done this to so many different people, once again, who are trying to tell the American people the truth and expose these people, many of whom you just showed, for who they are as the propaganda arm of the deep state, which would have no power and no influence if they weren't able to feed their lies into a willing spokesperson through the propaganda media.
Thoughts?
All right. So that's pretty much the standard way that the media, legacy media, does their things, is a whole bunch of ad hominem attacks. Attacking the person, not attacking actually what they're saying. You know, it's you can't trust this person because of these bad things that we've found through secret sources, as opposed to, hey, we don't like that thing that they're doing because it is counter to, I don't know, the Constitution or something like that. It's always attacking the person. So you know that they don't have a leg to stand on when all they're doing is attacking the person that's communicating the information, as opposed to going after the information that they have. It's worked very well for the legacy media. The muckracker media is really, they're no different than the muckracker media back when Hearst and co were doing all of their things back in the day. It hasn't changed any, and who knows, it may still be the same players. But with that being said, they're not going after what they're talking about. Good thing is that the truth is going to continue to come out. Mm-hmm. The information is going to continue to come out, and they're already not. They're like the little boy who was trying to stop the dike from flooding. I can't remember the whole story or anything. I just remember he kept on putting his fingers in all of the holes in the dike to try to stop it. And at a certain point in time, they can't keep the flood or the dam from breaking. They can't keep it from breaking. And that's what's happening to them right now, is what I'm seeing. Is all of these holes are getting poked into their narrative, and they're not going to be able to hold it back anymore. Already, so many people have woken up, and they're paying more attention to the information that's coming out. The people on the left are paying very close attention to the information that's coming out. They just still have their perspective that they're having difficulty recognizing that, you know, Trump is trying to do things for the benefit of all Americans, as opposed to they are still under the impression that President Trump is a selfish individual who's doing this because he's trying to be king or something like that. Assuming that, well, yeah, of course they think they're trying to paint the picture that he's a king with their no kings riot kind of crap that they were doing earlier. Right. So they're trying to paint him as a king because they know that Americans, we don't particularly care for royalty, unless of course the press is talking to us about the royals, that they love to do whatever it is, kiss their ass all the time.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So again, the story's only going to hold up for so much longer as more and more information really comes out.
Exactly. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you read that, please?
Sure. All right. ICE has removed age barriers as recruitment goes into ludicrous speed.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the things that I'm so excited about, because we've seen our ICE officers be terrorized by activists, by violent people who want to do them harm. And they have continued to go out bravely and do their jobs. and make sure that they're upholding the rule of law. And so our recruitment efforts to hire 10,000 new ICE officers has been extremely successful. Lawrence, as of today, we have over 80,000 applicants for those 10,000 positions already. People and patriots across this country that say, we want to join, we want to help and be a part of this effort. It's overwhelming to see the amount of response and support that our ICE officers have gotten and people who want to join their ranks. So I would tell everybody, go to join.ice.gov and go there and sign up, be a part of this team that is helping make America safe again with President Trump. And the other thing, Lawrence, I would say is we've removed any of the age barriers. We no longer have a cap on how old you can be, or you can continue at age 18, sign up for ICE and join us and be a part of it. We'll get you trained and ready to be equipped to go out on the streets and help protect families.
Thoughts?
Aaron has ideas. So he says that's what I should go do. And then, of course, I say, then how could I do the show? And then Aaron says, just start a new cop show called Ice Ice Baby. Aaron, I appreciate the support. I don't know if that's in the best interest of anybody. But regardless, the fact that they're opening up to all sorts of people that they weren't before it speaks to the fact that they want a lot of people to apply for these positions. They say they have 80,000 for 10,000 positions, yet they still want more applications, which, hey, that's interesting. I mean, it's kind of not a bad idea. You can always trust that government paycheck. Government pays its people, but yeah, that's
Your military time would count towards your retirement.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of cool. Are you kidding? I would watch you. And you are a vet, so you'd be a shoo-in. I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Are you ready?
Yes, let's move on.
Would you read that, please?
Certainly. Democrats are failing because they're focused on branding instead of policies. Boy, that's the truth.
They are giving a
$50,000 sign-on bonus. Yeah, I know. I've heard it.
You ready?
Yes.
Let's listen.
I appreciate the effort, Aaron.
Yeah, the reason that Democrats are failing is precisely because they have confused branding with governing. And what they're experiencing now is a crisis of purpose. Because for the past decade, they have relied on the anti-Trump rhetoric and the, political posturing about, how bad Donald Trump is, while distracting from the fact that they have no real solutions to the many problems Americans face every day. And the reason that they have no unifying message is because they have no unifying principles. Their entire party in the past decade is basically a bunch of special interest coalitions that are bound together by fear of the other side. The problem is that fear of the other side, that fear mongering, no longer works. People are realizing that Donald Trump Republicans aren't actually scary. They deliver results and competency.
And Alex Clark,
Thoughts?
All right. So, the Democrats' popularity is tanking. And I would say for that very reason, because they don't really have a platform anymore other than we hate Donald Trump. And that's not going to help bring anybody to your side. Okay. Yeah. People may not like that person, but if your whole platform is against one person, then that's not a direction to go. Again, they make their mistakes by attacking the people as opposed to attacking the policies, because if you attack the policies, then that means that you are proposing an alternative to the policies that would be acceptable to the people that you're trying to get to come over to your political party and to side with you. It's something the Democrat Party used to be really good at. Hey, we're listening to the people and we think that the people want this, and we haven't been getting that. Hey, Milt, thanks for joining.
That's Liberty.
Oh, hey, Liberty.
He's everywhere.
He is everywhere. All right. So the thing is that the Republican Party, President Trump specifically, since he seems to be in charge of the Republican Party at this point in time, they are running on a traditional, what we would consider a platform. Here are the policies. People are going with that because the previous 4 years that President Trump ran, he said, here are my policies. And what did he do? He ran through all of those policies. He gave us those policies. Thanks for being a monthly supporter, Dawn. I do appreciate that. Y'all are amazing. Anyway, so with that, the policies are being presented. That's what people care about. Not, oh, we don't orange man bad. It's, come on, do better. Do better. Because I would love for somebody to present some policies that are better than what President Trump is offering, and I would be happy to support that individual. However, we're just not seeing that person rise up to the top to the point where it would say, you know what, I'm going to have to vote Democrat because the Democrats are providing a better platform. I don't know why this is such a mystery to those on the left, but I guess like a human being, organizations are no different, that they have to hit rock bottom before they have the desire to actually change. And the platform, they know that the socialist platform doesn't work. They know that people don't care about the socialist platform except for a very small group of people. So why on earth, if you recognize that that's not working, are you just, I don't know, Thelma and Louise right over the edge of the cliff, I guess.
Right?
I don't know. I don't know. Hey, Chops. Thanks. I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah, I was getting that.
Thanks for joining, Chops.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Let's listen.
All righty.
We got Justin.
There we go.
As a man thinketh in his heart, then so is he. This is a truth. God is putting the ball in your court. How do you see yourself? How do you view yourself? Do you love yourself? Are you thinking negative thoughts? Well, your life is going to go in the direction of your thought process. When I was going through the most negative time of my life, I realized that my life's like a book, and I have the pen. And depression is only a chapter, and it was up to me to turn the page. It was up to me to create my future. It was up to me to create my happy ending. Whether you listen to the trusted voice of a counselor or the trusted voice of the Holy Spirit in Scripture, either way, you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to make a decision to trust the voice of hope and trust the voice of a better tomorrow and a better future. Once you get to the place where you learn how to love yourself again and love a positive mindset, it'll give you permission to hate a negative mindset and hate the person you used to be.
All right.
Thoughts? Hey, Wendy.
Hey, Wendy.
Chachi.
Hey, Chachi. Thank y'all for joining. We appreciate y'all. All right. So, depression. Depression is a miserable experience. And I know it may not seem like a decision, and it in a lot of ways it's not. But at the same time, with the recognition that I think that's necessary. Hey, Fire Nate, I don't think I said hi either. Let's see. The biggest battlefield that's fought on every single day is the one in between your ears. Knowing and fighting the battlefield of our mind is that battle with depression. And so it's about choosing, believe it or not, it's about choosing to say, I don't like this thought. What is the positive side of this? And we kind of touched on that. I think it was yesterday, where it was the motivation was about, I'm not having a bad day. I'm having a character building day.
That was yesterday, Les Brown.
Yeah, Les Brown yesterday. So it's that switching, that flipping of the script inside of your own head by recognizing what is this doing for me as opposed to what is this doing to me. Because when we say what is this doing to me, we're taking away our personal power to have a say in what the situation is. And the thing is we all have a say in our situation to an extent. But with that being said, that say is within inside of our head. So we have to make sure that we're going to that battlefield, armoring up every single day, the full armor of God. And that's before we even get outside of our head, before our feet even hit the floor, as we get out of the bed. You know, just as we're waking up, I'm going to have a good day. God, thank you for giving me a good day. Thank you for helping me keep a positive mental attitude as I go through my day and deal with the challenges that I have. Amen. That's the kinds of things that we need to make sure that we're doing, because we can't all be here for each other all the time. Sometimes We actually have to be here for ourselves. So make sure you're fighting that battle, the greatest battle that you're going to fight every single day. And then that's the one that's in between your ears. Thank you, Steph. Fire Nate says depression is a hard place to be. Amen to that one. And a hard place to escape, without a doubt. A battle for sure. It is a battle. And we have to take it that seriously too, as if you're going to war every moment of every day. It's very difficult to fight that battle space in between your ears. It really is difficult. But there's a certain point in time where we get that level, like a runner, they run and they practice and they get better at running so that way they can compete. You're competing against yourself, and yourself, your ego, which is not your amigo, is going to be telling you all of the can'ts. You can't do this, can't do that. Oh, it's beyond my control. Blah, 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 blah. No, done. Hey, Wendy. Let's see. So it's a challenge. But I believe that each and every person can overcome that challenge. You just got to know that the more you fight for yourself, to yourself, if that makes sense, the more you fight for yourself, the better off, the stronger you'll be, the fewer issues you'll have. Plus, that's where we do the things that we can with the time that we have. Do what you can where you are with what you have, and trying to do that positive thing instead of allowing that mindset to start swirling around inside of your head. You got to take control, seize the day, and go do something that's going to bring positivity and joy into your life. And I can't overstate this enough. Our relationship with our Creator is the biggest help in all of that. Steph says, I've been having a battle lately with that, and I stay in prayer. Amen, Steph. That's the best thing we can do. But at the same time, when we have that inspiration to go do something, if it's just keeping our hands busy, and I'm not talking about going on your cell phone and playing some video game, I'm talking about do something that's going to be tangible, that you can look at the end of the day and say, I did this. I'm working on this. You go pull weeds. I've got out here in Las Vegas, we've got plenty of desert and rocks. So what do? If I've got nothing to do and I just need to get into my mind space and try to get it right, I'll arrange the rocks so that way they look nice. And what happens with that? I have something nice to look at in my rock garden. But you know what? But it's making the most of what you have. So if you got a rock garden, make it pretty.
Yeah.
Wendy says, especially when you're left with no one except you and God.
Yeah.
You're never alone, sweetie.
Yeah, you're not.
But with that being said, we may be left to a significant amount of time with ourselves and not too many other people. But that doesn't mean it's always going to be like that. It's not always going to be like that. Nothing is permanent here. And that doesn't mean that we, make permanent solutions to temporary problems. What we understand is that these things that we don't like are there for our growth and development. And so when we take that opportunity to say, you know what, thank God I don't have anybody messing with me right now. So that way I can work through the commotion that's going on in here. The monkey mind, it starts going. And so it sounds like the squirrel. Where's my squirrel at? I haven't had a squirrel in forever.
Well, while you do that, for some reason it didn't come over, but Fire said, there it is.
There, got my squirrel.
He said, yes, it can be overcome and we're not alone. I wanted to make sure I got that because it didn't come over for some reason. Liberty says, I only have one battle, too much month at the end of money. LOL. We understand that feeling, Liberty. We really do. We really, really do.
Yeah, for some reason. But the good thing is you're in good company because that's about 90% of the country right now. Yeah. That is, of course, unless you're ultra left liberal that knows how to play the game well, and you have all of everybody's money. But that's running out. So they're going to have plenty of time since USAID can't give them their money anymore.
Yeah. And hey, Silver, thanks for joining.
Silver, thanks for joining.
Wendy says,
I know Cal Bear's there too. Hey, Cal Bear.
You want to go ahead and read that one?
Wendy says, be kind, even when no one appreciates it. One of the things that keeps me going. Yes, you're planting seeds, and people may not appreciate it. You know, you hold the door open for somebody and they step on your foot and they turn back and look at you like you're the asshole because you were in the way holding the door open for them. It's so, you know what? At least I made the day a little bit better. And it may not be that person, but it may be somebody else who saw that you were doing that you didn't clap back, and that, you know what, you were content with the fact that you did something nice, and that person might go do something. We don't know how the ripple effects of throwing a stone in the water is going to affect the world around us. We just know that it's going to make ripples. So accept the fact that those ripples, as you threw that stone in there to do something nice, that the ripples of that effect will come back to you at some point in time.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Would you read that, please?
Certain. All right. Scott Jennings says, the plight of American hero, Big Balls, has set off a firestorm in the Republican Party.
Let's listen.
Here we go.
I'm just going to tell you right now, the plight of American hero Big Balls has set off a firestorm in the Republican Party. This kid, he goes out on the street,
infiltrated all of our
he protects a
information.
woman from being attacked by a roving street gang, and he had the crap kicked out of him. And, you know, we had a congressional intern murdered not too long ago. I'm just telling you, Republicans right now have about had it with the violence and the idea that you can't even walk around DC right now without getting attacked by street gangs.
Don't we have laws on the books already?
Yeah, how well have they worked? Don't we have laws on the books already? Come on. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And how well did that work out in Aurora, Colorado? Because it was a gun-free zone. There's already laws in place. She gets so upset because she knows she doesn't have a rational argument that's worth arguing other than, but we've already done what we're supposed to do. No, you haven't. Otherwise, these things wouldn't be happening.
Right.
I know that's a difficult concept to grasp, that just because you've legislated morality does not mean that there will be morality. That's a difficult concept for some people to grasp. But with that being said, I'm going to say that Scott Jennings brings up the point. People are pissed.
Yeah, they are.
People are tired of living in this kind of fear. I have a right to my opinion just as much as these angry people do. And they're the angry ones, whether they like it or not, because they're the ones committing all the violence. After all, how long have we heard about how violent conservatives are, clinging to their God and their guns? I mean, okay, yeah, no, you just sound like a jackass is what it sounds like. And as you berate and belittle people who cling to their God and their guns, you point fingers about how violent we are. Yet, for some strange reason, the people that do all the finger pointing have 3 more fingers pointing back at them, and they sure do look like the very thing that they're projecting on all of us. There's a whole psychology kind of principle behind this, where we understand that it's a mirror as to what you're showing us, a mirror to yourself. So, yeah. Get good and stop trying to tell people how they need to live their lives, because it's awfully fascist and we're tired of it. As a matter of fact, I'd say that we're the ones that are more anti-fascist, because we're not the ones sitting there being fascists trying to tell everybody not to be fascists.
Mm-hmm.
Steph says people are reaching their precipice. People are getting tired. They're getting very tired.
They are.
But we're seeing positive movement forward. And so as they continue to show themselves as the violent ones, it only serves to draw more people away from what used to be the big circus tent. And maybe people are just tired of all of the clowns that they've been showing us. Do we have our own clowns? Yeah, we got plenty of clowns on the Republican side too. But that doesn't mean that we care about them. Exactly, Fire Nate. It's pretty simple. just love folks. We just need to love people.
Yeah.
And eventually they recognize, like they've been coming to this realization, that there just seems to be a little bit more love from the people who have been getting accused of all the things that the people on the Democrat, Team Blue kind of crap have been doing this whole time. And that's why they're leaving. Or if nothing else, they're disassociating with the party, but they're going to continue to vote with, they just be holding their nose with the Democrats. But even that's changing.
Yeah.
People are bailing out on them all the time. There you go, Silver. Love is always the answer. Hope says, we're all going to be laughing when we find out Kamala was a political decoy like Biden.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of political decoys.
Yep. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Would you read that, please?
All right. Oh, yeah, this. The paid protester epidemic is getting out of hand. That's the truth.
Let's listen.
Meet John Francis Mulligan. He's a professional protester. Here he is outside the Wild Goose, a bar that works with terror supporters like Kneecap, who was the band that wrote F Israel at the biggest music festival in the world. Here's Francis supporting 2 city councilors that are advocating for less police at religious schools. They are LGBTQ advocates that believe religious schools teach anti-gay views and thus don't deserve police protection. Now, Francis goes wherever he's asked to for a protest. Sometimes he goes above and beyond, though, and gets himself arrested after occupying a Trump building. If you take a photo of him at the protest and just look at one of his associates, you'll see that there's deep ties with these protest groups with far-left politicians. This was the guy that was standing with Francis in the last photo, and then here's him just taking a picture with AOC. AOC has a petition to defund the police, and here's Francis advocating for the same at a protest that he's very clearly getting his photo taken at. Now, one of the congresswomen that I had the privilege of speaking to on the Hill, Claudia Tenney, told me that she has a paid protester problem in her district. She says that they take the photos and then they reimburse them for cash. Now, Francis is a gays for Palestine guy, or a chickens for KFC guy, however you want to call it, and he's not the only one here doing that. I spotted this dude, who I saw at the Tesla takedown protest shouting into a rolled up poster board. Now, upon first glance, it would seem like there's some confusion going on with him. His name is Ryan Casey, and he's a paid actor. No, like he's literally a paid actor. He's a writer and performer. So he takes these protesting jobs as a gig. Now here he is shouting with Rise and Resist with my other paid protester in the background. Now I talked to this guy at the Khalil rally, and you can see him at pretty much any New York City protest. But back to Ryan. After finding out who he was and then his Instagram, you can see that he uses his Instagram as a portfolio as a paid protester. You can just scroll and find him at nearly 100 different protests. He wants to abolish ICE. He believes Musk and Trump are terrorists, and he wants you to know that trans people will always exist. Right, but not in Palestine. Ryan, this performance would not sell well in Gaza, and then it would end before intermission. Now, here's what Palestinians actually think of the LGBTQ community. Take a listen.
LGBT support Palestine during the war. Do you see them as your allies?
Now, a wise man once said, you can find queers for Palestine, but you will never find Palestine for queers.
Thoughts?
Wow, that was pretty hard hitting there, because it sounded like an awful lot of truth. I have not seen Palestinians for queers.
Correct.
Huh. That's interesting. So back to the paid protester concept. We've known that there's been paid protesters all the time. And really, it looks like this guy's plussing up his book for what is it that they have when they're trying to get into movies and stuff? They get like a lookbook or something stupid like that. Yeah. It's
their portfolio.
Portfolio. Yeah, it looks like he's portfolio building. You know what? Good for you, man. Build that portfolio. Just know that you're going to be putting yourself into a very small subset of what's going to be available. And maybe it's worked for some people, and I think that that's great. He's right. The trans concept will never, ever go away. It's not going to. Why? Because human beings are going to do their thing. The difference is that they need love too. Clearly, this man needs some real love. Obviously, some things there that he's fighting against in his past, and we really do have a mental health crisis here in this nation, myself included. I mean, none of us are doing that well in the end. I can't think of anybody that's totally healed. Even President Trump has mental issues. So the thing is that we have to learn how to respect each other's lifestyles, and we have to do it in a manner that's going to be acceptable in public and polite society. Now, in polite society, it does not mean that you can't be trans. It doesn't mean that you can't be gay. It doesn't mean that you can't be whatever. You can be whatever you want, but there's a time and a place for that. And I think that that's all that any conservative really wants is be you. Because we're all sinners. We're all making mistakes. Just find a place where you can feel supported in that without making everybody else have to go along with it. Because there's things that you are presenting in society that people don't have the ability to communicate to their children, nor should they be required to communicate to their children if the lifestyles aren't forced upon them. That's
Right.
like parents have enough problems without having all this other stuff thrown at them. And I think that that's the real objection in the end is go live your best life. Just let people raise their children without this kind of undue influence before they hit 5. Right? Let the kids figure that out as they start to ask those kinds of questions in life. But people like this certainly seem to be hanging out with the kinds of people that want to force that on people and their children before it's time to have that conversation. All right. Wendy says, just wanted to stop by and say hello. Got to run before it gets too late. Thanks to those who said hello. God bless everybody. God bless you too, Wendy. Be safe. Have fun, man.
Yeah.
Chachi says these paid protesters probably already got scooped up and spilled the beans. I'm sure that there's a lot of that going on where they've snatched up some of these paid protesters and they have determined that or they have interviewed them and gotten the information that they need, or they didn't even talk to them. They've just been investigating, watching where are they going, who are they talking to. It's all easy because I highly doubt that too many of these people are super secret squirrels where they have the ability to play shadow games and do things to shake a tail and stuff like that. It's just whatever. I'm sure all the information's already out there.
Exactly.
And the useful idiots will be idiots, and they will provide all the evidence that's necessary to get the people that need to be got in the future that have been the true agitators for this. The agitators in training, and then you have the real agitators in the background that you don't see in the pictures.
Right. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that, please?
Certainly. Dude drops kids in game, then tells them about Jesus.
Let's listen.
Oh, okay. Now I get it.
You guys ever heard about Jesus before?
Yeah, I love Jesus.
No, I said we could be chill. What did I do?
Hey, bro, if you ask God to speak to you, know He will.
Damn.
Alright, nice stuff. Oh no.
Bro.
You guys ever heard about Jesus before?
Yeah, I love Jesus.
10 years ago, I had an encounter with God. I had severe depression, anxiety. I was even suicidal, and I encountered God. I just want you guys to know He loves you. You can ask Him to speak to you. Repent of your sin. He'll forgive you for it, and you'll have a relationship with God.
Me too, twin.
Hey.
Right, you too.
Thoughts?
Hey, everybody has their own gifts, and if your gift is wrecking people on first-person shooters, and you get an audience there, hey, however you get your audience, and I think that's probably one of the better things that could be happening on those online first-person shooter games. If you've ever played or if you've ever listened to anybody that plays those kinds of games, the conversations are absolutely ridiculous, and they show how far the global communication has gone, the amount of desire to upset people intentionally on games like that, and to have somebody like that that's providing that contrast to what's normally out there is kind of nice to see. Yeah, I think it's very resourceful, Fire and 8. Hope says, my son-in-law streams on Twitch playing some game and ministers to young people. I'm proud of him for that. You know what? You should be, because he's doing what he's good at. Actually, give us the name of his stream. That'd be kind of cool. I have to
That'd
check
be
that out.
awesome.
I know I don't watch a whole lot of streams, but you know, I at least try to check them out every now and then. And it would be nice to see that. That'd be fun to watch. Yeah, I'd support that. Yeah, throw his tag in there.
Yeah, absolutely. How about some Kelly?
Kelly is always good.
Let's listen.
All righty.
Have you ever heard somebody try and say, I'm just ready for Jesus to come back? Yeah, cool. But did he say when you're emotionally exhausted, I'll return? Or did he say, go into all the world and make disciples? If Jesus came back every time a Christian felt pain, we'd be on our 407th second coming by now. That's a lot. You ain't ready for Jesus to come back, son. You're just tired of adulting and think heaven sounds like a vacation package. Meanwhile, your neighbor's still heading to hell and you haven't even waved at him since 2016. Acts 1:8 doesn't say you will receive power to sit in a church pew and wait till the rapture happens. It says you will receive power to be my witness. It said witness, not whiners. Let's get this straight. If salvation was just about getting to heaven, God would have raptured you at the altar. Whew, you're gone. But he didn't. You got baptized and God said, send it. God said, bet. Now get to work. You're not just an audience member in this faith. You're the cast. You got lines to say, friend. Don't you know? There are souls waiting on the other side of your obedience. Don't just sit on the bench. What do you mean, coach? Why are we sitting around like, Jesus, come back. It's dark out here. Yeah, cute. Did you forget? You're the light of the world. Let's be honest. We don't want Jesus to come back. We want life to get easy without doing the hard work of the gospel. Jesus is coming back for a bride, not a bunch of bored bridesmaids scrolling the internet, waiting for the trumpet. We say we want revival, but we won't even post about Jesus. Because what if we lose followers? What are we even doing with our lives? That's Hamilton. We think Jesus needs to come so that he can fix the world. But he already sent you. And he gave us Acts 1:8 power to do it. Not some sit around and vibe power, but go power. Gospel power. You want Jesus to return? Start living like you're on a mission, not a vacation. He's not delaying his return to frustrate you. He's delaying it because some people aren't ready yet. There's so many more who need to know him. I get it. I'm excited for Jesus to come back too. But there's still some people in my life that aren't ready yet. Sometimes the only Jesus other people will ever see is you. So let us encourage you today. Encouragement! It can be easy to get wrapped up in Jesus. I'm ready to go. This is a dark world. But you are the light. So I say, let's shine bright. And think about that for a minute.
Thoughts?
All right. So, you know, we've said this a million times here, and that is you got to let your light shine. And that means when things aren't going the best right now, it is always good to try to help other people, because that light that we shine for other people can help shine their light as well. And in the end, isn't that what we're really trying to do, is to get everybody to let their, you know, their hearts speak for themselves, which will help other people speak more. Thing is when we open our hearts and we're able to help other people open their hearts because of everything that all of us have been going through, when we can help other people open their hearts, then they will also try to help other people open their hearts to the world around them. It's just a matter of us sticking to what our mission is, and that is to bring the light of the world. It's not our light, it's God's light shining through us. So we should most assuredly share that light what's the worst that could happen to us? Thank God we're not in ancient Rome where they're still throwing Christians to lions. No, we're in modern America. It is modern Rome, but it's not anything like the Rome that Jesus was in. And so we have this opportunity, this gift of living in this age. And that is not to ask for Jesus to come down and fulfill all of Revelation. It's to do our job so that way he would want to come down and fulfill the revelation and to harvest, have a complete harvest as opposed to just a small harvest of a few people. And so therefore it is our job to try to make his light shine everywhere so that way nobody is walking in darkness, nor would they want to walk in darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Sheriff Hector, thanks for joining.
And then did you see Angie gave you his stream name?
Yeah, the Lovis Live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Just wanted to make sure. Are you ready?
Yes.
Would you read that, please?
Certainly. All right. GOP strategist Brad Todd schools CNN host Kate Bolduan on how 2020 census errors hurt the red states.
Let's listen.
What?
One of the big things is it helps decide congressional maps.
Right.
Does this have everything to do with redistricting?
Well, it does. In fact, we know the 2020 census, the errors were almost always to the detriment of red states. Blue states like Rhode Island.
Do we know that?
We do know that. The Census Bureau's own audit of its work has proven that. Blue states like Rhode Island were overcounted. Rhode Island then didn't lose a seat. Red states like Alabama were undercounted. Listen, this is just a fact. It wasn't all red-blue, but it was disproportionately red-blue.
Thoughts?
Any of y'all surprised by this information?
I'm not.
No, I was not surprised either. And now keep in mind, what's the significance of that? It's on CNN. It's on CNN that these things are being stated where they don't want to hear that kind of information. And yeah, a lot of people are going to write him off. Oh, he's just a far right wing, nut, wing nut, whatever, blah, all the names that they love to call because they don't know how to have a actual discussion. It just devolves into name calling and speaking over people. So again, we're not trying to get those people because they're still shut down. It's the other people that are at least listening. And the fact that that predictive programming where people start to hear these things, and the more they hear them, when people start getting arrested, when tribunals or lawsuits or court cases start happening, wherever they may happen, it's not going to be a surprise that people are hearing this. So when they don't get surprised, and think about this, as you go through and you hear a conversation or you're reading something in the Bible that you didn't recognize before, if you don't stop in that moment and digest what you're saying, you're going to miss stuff for a period of time after what that little key piece of information was. And so when people hear this key piece of information, they're not going to shut down and have that automatic rejection. Okay, I've heard this before. Mm-hmm. And then as the information comes out, they'll be more inclined and more capable of actually hearing it because the monkey mind's not going to be going inside their head, which makes it so that way they can actually take the information in. That's what we need. And I believe that that's the reason why we're hearing these things on CNN and MSNBC and
yeah.
This is all part of the process. It's a long process of trying to help a whole bunch of people with, in the end, Stockholm syndrome, who want to fight for their captors to wake them up so that way they recognize, hey, we're captive. Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's like what Kelly was just saying about Jesus coming back. Mm-hmm. Same thing. These people aren't ready.
Yeah.
But if it's coming from CNN, it helps.
It does. It helps wake people up to these concepts that they have not allowed themselves to be able to even consider.
Correct.
You're going to have to consider them upcoming in the future.
Yep. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Would you read that, please?
Certainly. Okay. This is on OAN. Natalie Winters says the CC... words are hard. Okay. The CCP prefers infiltration rather than invasion.
Let's listen.
Heard that before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Wonder where.
I started following your exceptional investigative reporting when you would write up former U.S. officials who would take these emoluments from China in exchange for lending credibility to the Chinese Communist Party. Are there any former congressmen who you have identified as involved in this effort to help in the acquisition of our farmland?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, one of the members of Congress currently sitting on the select committee on the Chinese Communist Party, he actually spoke at an event sponsored by the U.S.-China Heartland Association. I'm forgetting his name. It was not totally linked to this piece, but Governor Bob Holden, I believe of Missouri, is the co-chair of this group in its entirety. And like I said, this group is slightly unique, Matt. I know a lot of my old reporting has focused on how these old congressmen turn into lobbyists for foreign countries. We should ban that while we're at it. Yes. But USHCA is very unique in that instead of going for federal officials, they're targeting state level. So particularly mayors, governors, and even unelected positions. So people who are, kind of the state liaison for agricultural affairs, working in the agricultural department. So this is very tailored access operation type kind of operations going on at the hands of the Chinese Communist Party, right? They always prefer infiltration to invasion. And in this case, I think they know that you get more bang for your buck. There's more ROI if you go after these local officials.
Thoughts?
All right, that sounds exactly like what's been going on. If you get a whole bunch of people that aren't elected in the Department of Agriculture, you might find out when large land holdings come up available next to a military base. You might be able to find out how you can get buildings within New York City so you can have your Chinese Communist secret police force. Oh, infiltration instead of invasion. They do have the numerical advantage over us here in America. We certainly have the technological advantage over China. China does not have the force projection capability that we have. So what's China going to do when they're fighting a war? Obviously, I can't figure out how to call it anything other than that. Then it's a little bit more than a Cold War, but it's certainly not a hot war yet. It certainly has that potential, but China knows that they don't want to do that because that's not going to work out so hot. That's why there were all of these people that were being sent in. That's why they were supporting the cartels and bringing all of that fentanyl across the borders. They would be supporting those kinds of organizations, and that's why President Trump and ICE have been going after those people specifically. I'm going to say that they have been more than likely focused on the big players, the ones that are the ringleaders. So that way, all of the foot soldiers that are out there, if they don't have leadership, they don't know what to do. So you cut off all the heads to all these snakes, and then you just have these worthless snake bodies lying around. And that would explain why so many people are going back. Oh, shit, I don't want to get rung up in that because that sounds awful. Mm-hmm. So, infiltrating our nation. But I believe that, again, this is more exposure. Now, that one was on OAN. It's trying to solidify the foundation, the base that's out there that already sees these kinds of things. But this is the way the news game is played. You give people what the points and perspectives are, so that way you can have a discussion about the things that are going to be on the news cycle. And so that way you can speak a little bit more intelligently on it. That's how the news game is played. That's how they get you, me, everybody who's paying attention to the news to be able to communicate what's going on. Also, keep in mind that two wings, one bird. So it's take it all with a grain of salt, but we do understand what we feel is better for this nation, which is what's best for everybody as a whole, as opposed to specific small groups of people, which is what the Democrat Party really has gone to. They said a big tent, but in the end, they were really picking a small group of preferred people, and those were the people that were always rising to the top inside the Democrat Party, and those who aren't part of that very small group of the the alphabet soup people that they have there. If you aren't part of that, then you don't get to play in their game. And Americans are seeing that, and they don't want nothing to do with it. So we understand that China has certainly had some kind of influence with not only our elected politicians, Fang Fang, but also with unelected officials. All of this is coming out, and it's going to take a long time to expel a foreign nation who has had support from our own elected officials, let alone the unelected ones. They just need to snatch all these people up. But I have a feeling that Doge probably did a lot of that kind of in the background in secret. So we'll see how all that plays out in the end. Silver says, Matt Gaetz wanted to do this show on OAN instead of being the special prosecutor for the Russian hoax. I can see that. I can see that because it sets him up for something else in the future. I think there's a long game there for Gaetz. Silver says, all part of the plan, I'm sure. I agree. Matt might be more valuable at OAN. Yeah, that's true. Chachi says, those Chinese secret police stations got pinched a while ago now. Yes, sir, they did. I think they're deep state and ours were most likely working together. And I think that you hit on the fine point there, Chachi. But wait, there's more. He says, if you think about it, Chinese deep state goes way back. The Shanghai goes way back to those trapdoor kidnapping folks out in Portland back in the 1800s, even earlier. Yes. 100%. Yes, Chachi, they were doing human trafficking back in the day, and I don't think that they're too much different from where they were. So going back up to that first comment, here we go. Yeah, they did get pinched, and the deep state, their deep state and our deep state. I think that that's the key point right there, because it's not, again, they're not as big as we think they are. They just know where to put people in the right place, so that way they can make it look like they're a lot bigger than they are, hence the owning the press. That's why it was so important for President Trump to diminish and minimize the value of the information that was being presented to us from the from the mainstream media. And as their purse strings get pulled, as individual, like their little police stations, secret police stations got pulled, they don't have the power that they had. So therefore there is more freedom. It's going to be transparent to us unless we start speaking up, and more people start speaking up. Now, people have been speaking up, and more people are speaking up. So it is gaining momentum. It's just, we got to get to that critical mass, and we're really close to that critical mass. I truly feel in my heart that we're almost at that critical mass where everything's about to flip, and then it's all going to be laid out for everybody. Chachi follows up and says they could away with that. They could get away with that back then if they worked with local U.S. port authorities. The crimes go way back. Yeah, they do.
You see what Fire said?
Fire says, yes, some kind of a long game. Oh, talking about Gaetz. Yeah, it really seems like there's a long game there. Steph says the children is what's going to draw the line in the sand when it all comes out and brought to a head. It will, only for those who are parents.
Yeah.
I fear that that's the case, because those people who don't have kids, it's difficult to understand, I guess is the best way to say that. And that's part of, age gets you wisdom, because you have these kinds of life experiences. You start to ask more questions, but you're always going to have that fired up, youthful base of kids that follow what their teachers told them to think, because they're, I don't know, sticking it to the man or whatever, psychological tactic that they're using against the kids to think for themselves, as opposed to teaching them things like, logical fallacies, so that way they can think for themselves. Silver says, saving the children will unite us. I do agree with that, because all of the parents standing up and saying enough is enough will make those who aren't parents have to reconsider. And then it's just a matter of the social pressure of, why aren't you using your heart? And why don't you care that this is happening to people's kids? What if it was you? And that's where the difference is what if you were the one who had this happen to you?
Yeah. What if?
Yeah, what if?
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Would you read that, please?
Certainly. I don't know who Tyson Fury is. Tyson Fury on how faith in God helped him overcome his mental health struggles.
Let's listen.
Yeah.
Most people think that to come back from a mental health issue like yours, you need psychiatric care and medication. And you're saying you did it with setting goals and hard work.
And the biggest thing we're missing here is I didn't do it with doctors and all them type of things. I done it with something way more powerful. God.
So your faith and your belief.
My faith and belief that God would make me better made me better.
Okay, let me address that first, and then I'll get back to Silver. So thank you, Silver, for pointing this out because I may have misspoke. Let's see. So faith, yes, the medical field is very helpful. Yes, the pharmaceutical industry does have things with which to help people out. But me personally, I've seen more help from faith in terms of my own personal life than from any of those things outside of myself. I do believe that God has the ability to work through us, but that doesn't deny the wisdom and experience that the medical industry provides. But I know that having a faith in a deity who does work through us is extremely helpful in so many ways. Okay, so back to what Silver, thank you for calling me out on this. Did I say people without children don't care as much about children? What I'm saying is I don't think that they can know how to care about children if they don't have children of their own, if that makes sense. Does it mean that people without children are absolutely devoid of empathy for or devoid of sympathy for people with children? No, I know that they can sympathize, but until people have a child, I think that there's a possibility that it would be difficult to understand. Okay, Silver says, Cal Bear and I have no children or grandkids, but are passionate about child safety. Yes, I understand. And I apologize if this if this hurts some in terms of the words that I say. I can say that through my own personal experience, that I became a very different person when I understood that I had a child. It changed me in ways that I couldn't express or have the ability to communicate. Does that mean that people don't already have their hearts open? No, it does not. As a matter of fact, the Bible speaks opposite of what I'm saying when it says that if you don't have a child, that all of the children end up becoming yours. And so, yes, my personal experience may speak differently, but I'm not saying that you don't care. So please don't take it, I guess, the way I said it. So thank you for pointing that out. And I recognize that I have some growth to do still. Steph says, well, even I think the ones that don't have children right now plan to one day. If they have love and compassion in the heart, it's going to piss them off. Just my opinion. There you go. Thank you.
Everyone is different. And here's the thing, and just for me, I know Santino, and even though I had children when we got together, because of things that he had to go through, and there's Mike. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Just because of things he had to go through with his half siblings and stuff like
Well,
that.
it's not just that. There's a lot that I don't talk about in terms of the problems that I had in my past,
Right.
that shut my heart down in so many ways, and so I've had a different experience, and it's one, I don't want to relive all of it. Two, I don't think that anything that I would communicate would be beneficial to those who were a part of my life before I had met Kay. If I'm communicating that clear enough, that speak to my own personal experience. So please don't think that I'm taking anything away from anybody that doesn't have kids. I just know that based off of my own personal experience, that having a child gave me a completely different perspective any other way.
Right. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. And if you please, thank you for speaking up, Silver. I do appreciate that. I really do, and it helps me be more empathetic to those different opinions than my own, because I know that I'm not perfect, and I know that I make tons of mistakes. I, like everybody else, I say things that make sense to me.
Right.
I hope that makes sense.
And you're not late. You're right on time.
You're right on time, sir.
Right on time.
Thank you, Silver. I appreciate that. If y'all were to get the full story, it would explain so much of everything that we say here and why we're even doing the show.
Right. Very much so.
Yeah.
And the reason why we do share our personal stuff is, like we always say, and we mean it from the bottom of our hearts. You guys are like our family.
You are.
You ready?
Yes.
Let's listen.
You say no problem, but I'm still going to worry about it. You can't make me not worry.
Yeah. That's just who we are. Let's listen.
All right. We need to listen because I've done too much talking.
A platform without a prayer life is a performance. And God doesn't bless performances. He blesses obedience. So if you're not rooted in scripture, you are just another echo. Loud, distracting, and annoying. Go have a seat. Stop calling yourself prophet and prophetess and you're not submitted to godly leadership. Stop calling yourself a prophet and a prophetess and you can't control your flesh, because it's malpractice to say you got a word from the presence of God and be in between someone else's sheets the same day you gave them the prophecy. We use excuses like the gifts are given without repentance. Heavy emphasis on holiness, heavy emphasis on righteousness, heavy emphasis on purity. Here's why. The word of God says that if you come in the name of the Lord and you've been given an opportunity to hold any position in the kingdom of God, you are held to a higher standard. So stop listening to these phony prophets who come in the name of Jesus and Jesus don't even know who they are. What we got to stop doing is confusing giftedness with godliness. Because you're gifted don't mean you're godly. And TikTok can give you followers, but only God can give you fruit. Y'all not talking to me. I don't care how many followers you got, where's the fruit? I don't care how many people doing your TikTok dance, where's the fruit? I don't care what your Instagram say, where's the fruit? Preaching without presence is just pretending. And if you haven't been with God, take a seat.
Thoughts?
All right. That's a powerful message. And I hope that it's clear that I've never considered myself a prophet. I do believe that God has given me tremendous gifts, but I do make mistakes. This earlier conversation probably put a fine point on that, because a prophet would not say things that would hurt anybody other than those, who are against God. I am grateful for the gifts that I have, and I know that I would like to have more fruits. I know that I'm growing so much every single day, and I know that we all are growing every single day. I think that that's the season that we're all going through right now, is to confront these things that are in front of us. And so our goal, our job, is to try to produce fruit. Nobody needs to be a prophet. God will give us prophets when we need a prophet, and we've had some truly I believe Kim Clement was prophetical in some way. He certainly seemed to get a lot of stuff right, but in the end, it's about our personal journey with God, and we shouldn't be claiming to be something. I think until you've run across a burning bush or a donkey that talks to you or something like that, even then he wasn't. The donkey wasn't talking to somebody who was a prophet. We need to understand that God will let us know, and our job is to not be deceived.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yes.
Would you read that, please?
All right. Is that the same on the bottom?
Yes.
Okay. General Michael Flynn, Bombshell. Israeli soldiers were ordered to stand down on October 7th.
Let's listen.
And I know that there's some machinations and there's got to be some big problems right now internal, and Netanyahu's dealing with it with the IDF. They're going to have to do some soul searching, and I mean immediate soul searching, because the 7th of October was a date, that they still have not been able to and there's an investigation going on, and I've already heard from some of the soldiers that were told to stand down and the exact hours. So something bad happened, and it was an inside thing. I don't know. Again, that's a bombshell right there. So the internal situation in Israel has got to be done with a
Hold it, hang on. Whoa. Hang on. You can't drop a bomb like that. Mike Flynn, your former head of DIA, first national security advisor, President Trump, a revered figure globally. You're saying your sources are telling you on the investigation that they're trying to slow down and slow walk over there because we're coming up on the second anniversary of it. You're saying that you're hearing there's testimony or documents or actual evidence that certain elements of the Israeli military were told to stand down? Because I know from people I know, this is a very contentious area and it's going to be explosive. Are you hearing the same thing?
Steve, you can go back to interviews that I did like the next day and the following week after October 7th in multiple broad alternative media, where I said something went wrong. Because Steve, I have personally walked that border. I have been down at those areas, and I know the details of how the Israelis, one of the most secure borders in the world, how they do their operations. So I know that. So something broke down, and it wasn't because of mistakes. So that's number one. This internal machinations that are going on right now, what's going to have to happen? They're going to have to come to grips with this, because I'm going to tell you, the American people, they're getting tired of it. They're getting tired of this constant, Israel. I mean, I'm the biggest fan. I would, I have been to Israel many times. I have, served alongside them. I have done things with them, certainly on the intelligence side. So I'm their biggest fan. But the American people are not. And the American people are so tired of all of the craziness and our involvement in these things.
Thoughts?
All right. This goes.
And I agree with Mike.
What's that about Flynn saying, yeah, he's been throwing bombs lately. We need to definitely listen to Michael Flynn's, General Flynn. So there's a lot of truth. And I know that he's kind of distanced himself from the whole Q movement and everything. That's fine. But this does certainly point to, we saved Israel for last. Israel does seem to be for last. When was the last time that anybody's been able to speak out against the Israeli lobby in DC? Yet we've been hearing about that. We've been hearing more news on both sides about how Israel isn't there's a difference between the state of Israel and the people of Israel. These are conversations that are being had, and I don't think there's really anybody who's happy about our politicians having dual citizenship with any other nation. But Israel certainly seems to have a stranglehold on a lot of our politicians that are in DC. So this is part of the conversation that needs to happen in the U.S. because we are a completely different nation. And Israel is its own nation, but it's not necessarily the Israel of the Bible. It just kind of holds some of the space that was stated in the Bible as to what would be Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Are there Jewish people that are part of that nation? Yeah, most certainly. Especially after World War II, a place was created for them to be safe. Although it doesn't look like it's been very safe for them, if you ask me. And it seems to have kind of fractured in a lot of ways because the principle is about loving and appreciating God. It is a battleground in and of its own right that's being fought on so many different levels. And so it creates a lot of confusion in an area where we could probably use a lot less confusion. And that is each and every person's ability to follow our Creator in the way that we see fit. So how's this going to play out? Well, information that's coming out that Israel wasn't doing, they haven't been doing things that they should be doing and doing things that they shouldn't be doing is press that we haven't heard before, but yet we're hearing about it now. So it's allowing the conversation to happen that was never allowed to happen before. As we move forward, it's going to pay off in America's ability to govern itself without the undue influence of a small nation, if I'm communicating well with that one. So I think it's good that these conversations are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Silver says, we have been saving Israel for last, and here it comes. I believe we're getting to that point.
Read this.
Hey, Left Lane, by the way, hi, thanks for joining. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit better, guys. Glad to hear that. Praise be to God. At first part of the chemo is usually pretty rough or rubbed for a week. I'm going to assume rubbed or so, but I'm doing better. And they found out I had pneumonia. Kind of sucks, but I'm okay. Good. Well, I'm glad that you're pulling through it, that they were able to see these things. And then Left Lane follows on. It's just good seeing all my friends being able to talk to you guys. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. That's
And then
we're happy you're here.
let's read some of
And then Hope says, I never wanted kids till I had one. I had a terrible, quote, mother and not a great childhood. So I didn't want to do that to a kid, but God has different plans. God always has different plans. Liberty says, I'm getting tired of Flynn stirring the pot as he does on people's podcasts. I say, put up or shut up. I hear you, Liberty. This is where some of our patience goes. We do have to have patience for this. And General Flynn has done a lot of things to wake a lot of people up in a lot of ways. He also fell on a sword trying to be able to help President Trump get to where he's at now. He may be on the sidelines and he may not be active in anything that we can see that's going on, but it doesn't mean that he isn't getting things done in the background or that he's completely cut out. He still seems to be presenting the information that needs to be presented to get the people to wake up. And I do believe that General Flynn, being where he was and what he did, I most certainly believe that he is fighting for what's right for the nation. I do believe he takes his oath to the Constitution very seriously, and it still looks like he's taking that oath extremely seriously. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt in the meantime. But obviously, we can be frustrated with the fact that, you know, we aren't seeing the things that we think we should be seeing because that's our hearts telling us something there. So that's okay.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
Would you read that, please?
Okay, there we go. 119-year-old bar shuts down. Savanah Hernandez highlights repercussions of Minnesota's Islamization.
Ready?
I think it's good. Yeah.
Let's listen.
All right.
This is Savanah Hernandez in the Cedar Riverside area of Minneapolis, and I wanted to come to Minnesota to highlight the cultural and demographic change of the state that houses the largest Somali population in the U.S. Now, I'm currently standing in front of Palmer's Bar because this bar has been here for 119 years, and they are set to close down in September after living through the Prohibition, outliving 2 world wars, and the Great Depression. They're going to be closing down because the owners state that not only is the current economic condition taking a toll on the bar, but also the culture surrounding drinking in this area has changed so substantially that they're losing $10,000 to $30,000 every single month. Now, this is not the only bar on this strip of land that is closed down, by the way. 3 other bars have closed down in the last 13 years, as well as an iconic punk rock venue. Now, that venue, which locals had previously stated was a staple in Minneapolis for up-and-coming punk rock bands, that closed down and has since been turned into an African restaurant. And this bar has been bought out by the mosque that is next door to it. It is the oldest Somali mosque in Minneapolis, by the way. They have bought this area, and they're now going to be combining it with their mosque and turning it into a community center. So just wanted to give you guys an idea of how the culture is changing in this area. You have a lot of these bars shutting down due to the drinking culture being much less. On top of that, a lot of the businesses that are coming in, much more tailored to the Muslim and African population. Just to give you guys an idea of my own personal experience as well, I've been walking around, I've been conducting interviews with a lot of the people on the street. The men have been fairly friendly and fairly open to speaking with me. However, they are very protective of their culture, and the other Minnesotans that I have interviewed on the street have said the same thing. Like, basically, if you don't mess with them, they won't mess with you, and they're very protective of their culture and quite wary of outsiders. Another thing that I did notice as well is none of the women will speak to me. As soon as they see the camera, they either turn the other way or will lift their hijab higher to cover their faces. So I have not been able to speak to any of the women on the ground. However, the men have been very open in telling me where they are from. For example, I spoke to a Somali man yesterday who stated that he was able to come to the U.S. just last year due to the visa lottery that allowed him to come this way. So just wanted to highlight the cultural evolution, the demographic evolution of this area, and how it is impacting local businesses and staples that have been around for over 100 years.
Thoughts?
Well, it sounds like culture's changing in Minneapolis. Sounds like it's been changing for quite some time. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know.
I mean, it's 119 years.
It's a bar.
Yeah.
It was a bar. You know, I just hope that they don't tear the buildings down. That'd be my only request at this point in time. I understand that their culture is very important to them. I wish they would respect our culture when they come here to our nation, as opposed to trying to change our culture to theirs. But that seems to be the sticking point in the conversation. I guess we'll just see how that one turns out as time goes on. Fire and 8 says it's sad when iconic places close like this. Yeah, a bar that's been open for 119 years. Yeah, that's a long time.
Oh, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Would you read that, please?
Ron Paul says, "Why was America First abandoned so quickly?"
Let's listen.
But we're going to talk today, Chris, a little bit about a policy position that is very annoying to a lot of us. And Axios reported it early on, that was a couple of days ago. States that boycott Israeli companies will lose disaster relief funds, DHS says, which is crazy because they never should have had the federal funds. And even if you say, well, they have the funds, what is this? It's a regulation of speech. And that, to me, Chris, is the real problem here.
Yeah, Dr. Paul, it's, we're only 7 months into President Trump's second term. And this has been a lot for Americans to take in these 7 months with whatever it is that you want to call it that Trump has with Israel. It's a lot to accept. We had the act of war with Iran. This was the peace ticket. And all of a sudden, he's throwing bombs on Iran. Even bigger, outcries is our tax money being used for the horrendous treatment of Gaza. Then you have representatives saying, we're voting on like 20 bills of anti-Semitism stuff. We're here. We have to start focusing on America. We have representatives complaining about that. Restriction of speech for foreigners that come here. Now this anti-boycott. These are all, we have the First Amendment in this country. You could say we have freedom of speech and the freedom to boycott whoever we want. Any other country, we could boycott our own country, companies here. We have that freedom. That's what it means to be an American. And the federal government is going to withhold our tax money for our natural disasters if the state boycotts a foreign country? I mean, what are they thinking? In fact, we're not the only ones thinking this. The backlash was so massive and incredible that they started backpedaling. They rephrased what they did. I don't know if they took it away, but they rephrased it. This whole thing, this is too much. We're only 7 months in, and Americans are getting fed up with all of this.
There's a consensus among many, many people in the media and various organizations. They come down on the side that even if you whisper or say something that is not directed at Israel immediately or directly, that you're an anti-Semite, and then they want to take you to task over that. But, when I took a vote, I voted against every penny that they wanted to send to Israel. Oh, that made me an anti-Semite. Yeah, but I voted against every penny going to anybody. Yeah, and none of them should have had money.
Dr. Paul and I, before the show, we were talking about how sad that we even have to have this show about this. With President Trump of all people, everybody was so sure that we were getting America first this time. All the dancing, all the shows, to get the votes. And at first, it was looking good. It was looking really good. In fact, people were accusing us of being Trump supporters because we were reporting all the good stuff that was going on at the beginning. But then, boy, what a massive change. And it's, we have to report it as it is. Not America first. All of this Israel stuff is not America first, but it doesn't even stop there. The most basic one that everybody wanted was Ukraine. And he's going to end it on day one. We are now 7 months, and he is arming Ukraine, turning it into his war. What was so easy to pass off as Biden's war, he is making his own. This is all going in the wrong direction. And, it's sad. This is not what we wanted. This is not what so many millions of Americans wanted, but it's what it is. We need to go in the opposite direction. America first. Bring the troops home. And all foreign aid to all of these nations. We can't afford it. Our government can't pay its bills. We can't pay our bills. The country is a reflection of the government. Everybody's in debt. The government is in debt as if it doesn't exist. They're just going forward. Same thing. Wrong. Hopefully things change, but as of now, wrong.
All right. A lot going on there. Okay, so I believe Danielle came in. Hi, Danielle. Hey, Brother Bill. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate y'all stopping by, or, at least stopping by, hanging out. We appreciate it either way. We appreciate y'all. Okay, so I'm kind of with Mike on this one. Trump knows more about the plan than we do. I'm going to be with Trump. Danielle says, scripted movie, trust the plan, God's plan. That's where I'm leaning on this one. I agree with the concept that we don't need to be giving foreign aid.
This one too.
I think that the foreign aid, I believe that we don't need to pay other nations. If we want to help a foreign nation, it should be done by the people, and a la Live Aid, if y'all can remember that, or Farm Aid. Those things were to help people that were in need of aid at that point in time, and it wasn't ran by the government, although I'm sure that with all those celebrities that a lot of that money got kind of skimmed off the top or whatever. But it doesn't mean that we can't figure out ways to be charitable without forcing everybody in this country to have to pay for it. Well, the only thing this country should be paying for is its own bills, is where I'm coming from. Mike says no, Trump is making the United Nations pay for it if they insist on war. Well, that makes sense. Hey, Cal Bear, thanks for joining. So I'm curious. What was it? Silver had said there. Gotta go. These guys are controlled opposition. Yeah. I am curious as to where you're getting on that one, or getting that information, because I kind of always liked Ron Paul, even though I wasn't really a Ron Paul supporter until after I kind of woke up some, because I recognized he was trying to get rid of the Fed. He was trying to keep us from paying all of these nations outside of our country. But Ron Paul is one of the reasons why I think that there shouldn't be term limits, because there's always going to be somebody who's trying to fight for the right thing, as far as I can tell. Bill says Ron Paul has always had a problem with Trump because DJT made Rand look bad in 2016. And if that's the case, if that's what he's holding on to, I can understand that that he'd want to kind of protect the honor of his kid. But at the same time, from what I understand, Rand Paul was kind of wheeling and dealing while he had to during those years that Obama and co were still around. But there's, again, a lot of information that I don't have. So, I'm going off with the information that I have. Silver says, I used to like Ron Paul, but look deeper. Oh, geez. And then Fire and 8 says Ron Paul seems highly consistent. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, look deeper. We can always look deeper on anybody and everybody, and we're going to find something that is not good. But he seems to be communicating the things consistently that he's always communicated. Pantomime continues. His kid is a man. Get over it. I got you, Mike. I got you.
Yeah.
I'm making excuses for shit that I don't know about, but what makes the most amount of sense to me.
There you go.
If that makes sense.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, I have another Kelly because I couldn't pick between the two, so I want to play both of them.
All right, that works. What, you're going to play 2 in a row?
No.
Oh, just 2 Kellys today.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Ready?
Yeah.
Let's listen.
All right.
Have you ever heard somebody say, yeah, I used to be a Christian, but let me tell you what someone did to me at church. Now I ain't never going back. Hey, time out. You're saying church hurt made you leave Jesus? Nah, bro. That just means church was your Jesus. Because the real Jesus, he never hurt you. People did. Look, let's get this straight. Church didn't die on a cross for you, and a pastor didn't walk out of the tomb. A small group never carried your shame, and a party planning committee never brought you boldness and power. Jesus did. Jesus did. Jesus did. So my question is, why are you blaming him for what his imperfect followers did? And, you want to hear something real crazy? Judas sat at the same table as Jesus. Perfect love in the flesh, and he still did him dirty. Straight up betrayed him. Blade in the back, son. Yeah. And what about Peter? This dude denies even knowing Jesus. And not just once. 3 times. Thrice, I say. And he had even walked on water with Jesus. All I'm trying to say is, don't act like church folks messing up is some new revelation. It's always been messy. It's always been messy. I mean, that's why we need grace in the first place. That's why we need grace in the first place. But let's dig a little deeper. Think about it like this. If someone hurting you in God's name made you abandon God himself, that means they had more influence on your soul than he did. Ouch. And you know what? That ain't their fault anymore. That's yours. That's yours. Listen, my friends, here's the truth. Jesus was beat up and put down by religious leaders every single day. He was mocked by entire crowds. He was even abandoned by the people he loved the most. But he still said, Father, forgive them. Father, forgive them. So, yeah, church hurt is real. But so is healing. And healing doesn't come from ghosting God because people failed you. It comes from letting Jesus heal what they broke. Yeah, you can hate religion. You can even hate the system, man. But don't run from Jesus. Never forget, my friends. He was never the one who hurt you. He was the one who died for the ones who did. And think about that for a minute.
See why I couldn't pick?
Yeah, I understand that's difficult to pick. Church hurt is a big issue in terms of how people move forward after things happen in their life. I did not experience that kind of church hurt. My specific thing was I didn't necessarily believe what I was being told. It seemed like I was getting the guided tour, and I didn't like that. And some of that might very well be my fault. But either way, I think what he's talking about is people that were actually hurt by members of the church. And that is an awful, awful thing that should never happen. But there's a lot of things that should never happen. And there's a lot of things that should probably happen that don't. So what are we to do with this? Well, the thing is, as long as we're holding on to those hurts like that, then we continue to live in the past and we allow those things to have control over us. And Kelly brought up a good point. It's that maybe we put more faith into the people that were there as opposed to putting our faith directly in our creator, which is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. we as human beings have a hard time understanding messages that are given to us. And so when we don't get the message, we set ourselves up for failure. And this is where we have to take some brutal personal accountability for our own lives and understand. And that's one of the difficult things that Kelly is really addressing right there. I know that I always liked Korn, Maynard. Tool, not Korn, Tool, Maynard, and his music. I've always appreciated that. But if you hear some of the things, his mom was a real, Christian, like absolute 100% faith, ended up, passing early because of a disease. And that it made him upset because he didn't understand that, if she was such a good person, then why would he take her? But that's because of his lack of understanding. How can you teach somebody like that? And so we all have to go through our own path so that way we can learn the things that we need to learn. I understand that good people seem to be taken a little bit too early, but at the same time, they don't have to put up with what's going on here on this planet right now. So it's not for us to determine what is right and what is wrong. It's all done to help us all get to the point, all of us, to get to the point where we can find God. And so what do? We pray for people that have church hurt, and we let them know it's not the building, it's the book. And this is where I say that the book is most important, and then trying to get that understanding however you can. And yes, a pastor is a great way in which to try to get that understanding. There's great pastors everywhere. There's bad pastors everywhere too, but it's up to us to use that discernment. But if we're in our studies, and when I say in our studies, we're going through the Bible, we're trying to understand what the word is, even going through what we consider the boring parts, the genealogies. But even in the genealogies, it teaches us something, because we have to pick out the minute differences between what's said between so and so begat so and so who begat so and so, and then there will be every now and then a change in the verbiage. And so that helps us pay attention to each and every word. And so that's part of our growth process. And however we grow, however we're able to achieve that understanding of what's said in the book, because it is the book, that is his word. You can't deny that that's his word if you believe that that's his word. And that only comes through reading it and understanding what the Bible's actually telling us. So don't let these past hurts in life continue to influence where or how we choose to believe. How we choose to believe is through us getting that relationship with God. How do you build a relationship with anybody? You have conversations with them. Now, can we sit here and have that back and forth conversation? I know I can't. I know I've met some people who say that they can. And if they can, praise be to God that there's people out there to this day. But at the same time, we have to listen to what he's saying. And when you're a good friend, you do more listening than you do talking. And the best way to listen without talking is to read his word. And then afterwards in prayer is when we talk to him. And then as we go back to the book, we might find those answers. The answers always present themselves in some kind of miraculous way, as far as I can tell. But it's still nothing fantastical like a bush that's talking to me while it's on fire. All of these things.
We're going to go over some of these comments real quick. Silver
All
says, when two people run down Trump without giving another side its due, it smells like controlled opposition.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay. Steph has been church hurt.
Sorry, ma'am.
Church
Church was for weddings and funerals. Danielle says church was for weddings and funerals. Thankful I didn't grow up in a religious family. Hope says church does hurt terribly, but it made me get closer in my relationship with Jesus. Steph says, I just stay away from church. My church I have with God in my house. Dana Carey, greatest drummer ever. Silver says, I'm thankful I grew up in a non-religious household also. And I grew up in a non-religious household, and it definitely provides a different perspective than people who grow up in a church family. Both of them provide their own unique challenges, but isn't that one of the beautiful things about life is that they're all unique challenges? Brother Bill says, you're on the right trail, Silver. Controlled opposition is exactly what all the guys like Ron Paul, Trey Gowdy, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, etc., but never solutions. There. That is one of the things that made me stop listening to regular talk radio, the news radio, the conservative. And I know people love Rush Limbaugh and those that are still on the radio railing on and on and on, but I never heard any solutions. I just heard a whole bunch of anger. And so that was difficult.
Yep.
Yeah. So I agree with you. Fire and 8 says yes. Let's see. Left Lane says, oh no, gosh, why would you run away from God? The one that loves you the most, the one that will never fail you. Why would you run from that? That's not right. I think that it's part of a growth process. I think it's part of a growth
You
process.
got to be able to separate the church from God.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I know myself included, I couldn't do that separation. I had to go through and listen to other philosophies about God, so that way I could figure out how to find God that made sense for me, which in the end turned out to just be reading the book.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron, for that Rumble rant. We do appreciate it. He says, I have hated churches since I was little. I prefer to find my church in open land I own.
There you go.
I mean, there's a way as well, but it is about making connections with other people. And I think that that's what's important, is because other people can help us. That's why we share people like Kelly K Ministries, who I believe to be a real pastor, and providing some real education about God and the nature of him, and explaining things that are otherwise difficult to discern. It helps us. And that's why we share people like Kelly K Ministries with you. And all the others, Craig Groeschel, et cetera. It's important to make sure that our studies are primary, first and foremost in our minds. Pray continually. And praying continually is the best way to try to be in relationship with our Creator. Fire and 8 says, God uses people, imperfect people.
Yeah.
Very
He
true.
qualifies the called, not calls the qualified.
Yeah.
Ready?
I'm sure qualified people are called too.
I know.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
Would you read that, please?
Same. Whatever. Anyways, Candace Owens says Benjamin Netanyahu is the real president of the United States. Ooh.
Let's listen.
Ooh. All right.
Bibi Netanyahu is president of the United States, effectively. So we should just pay attention to whatever Bibi Netanyahu's aims are. Bibi Netanyahu was on camera saying that any person that boycotted Israel would themselves endure, some pain in the United States. He was behind passing all of the anti-BDS laws. And look, I think most of us weren't paying attention to the relationship with Israel in the first term because there was nothing relevant that was happening. Now, with everything happening in Gaza and Trump turning a blind eye to it and pretending that it's totally fine, it's become very clear that Bibi Netanyahu has power over Trump.
Our community standards include policies that prevent harassment, violence, and incitement, and include a robust framework to combat anti-Semitism. Our hateful conduct policy includes specific protections for Israelis and Jews. We banned Holocaust denial and distortion back in 2020. We changed industry thinking on this issue, designating denial as hate speech rather than misinformation. It wasn't just about facts, it was about protecting people from harmful conduct. We banned content with harmful stereotypes about Jews, such as the claim that Jews run the world or other major institutions. We updated our policies to recognize that the term Zionist can be used as a proxy for Jews and Israelis. We banned content claiming Zionists run the world or control the media. And we do not allow for dehumanizing comparisons of Zionists.
These people are psychologically violent, okay? They are trained to be like this. They gaslight in the face of overwhelming evidence, getting back to what's happening in Israel right now. And they will start censoring people. We have seen this. If people start to take notice of this and going, wait a second, you literally just said that you have all this power. Now me saying that you have power is anti-Semitism. You're actually the TikTok woman that they just put in charge of speech as well at TikTok. Same thing. She did a whole thing about how she's a Zionist, how she went and served in the IDF. And they admitted this. They are taking control. The ADL, John Greenblatt, admitted they are taking control of all of these social media companies because they want to make sure that we are Zionists. Don't forget that you have the former prime minister of Israel on camera before he became prime minister, showing that they were editing Wikipedia to make sure that it had a Zionist bent. Okay, they are ahead of us in the information war. I actually never appreciated you calling your show the information war until I started researching Zionism. Truly. And now I'm like, no, it's been an information war and they are ahead of us, but it's all coming down.
I so totally disagree, but thoughts?
Okay, my spidey senses get ping. They start pinging when she's on.
I know.
I don't know
Mine
what
too.
it is. I don't know what my spidey senses are telling me. My spidey senses are just telling me that take everything with a grain of salt there. Now, let's see. Left Lane said, I don't care what anybody says. You turn your back on Israel, God will turn his back on you. Those are his people. Yes, and that is, and Fire and 8 says, this is all so very complex. Yes, it is. Okay, the nation of Israel. Again, there's a difference between the people of Israel and the nation of Israel. But at the same time, something that I have learned very difficult ways, and this is, it's kind of like we pray for Joe Biden because he is our president. We pray for Benjamin Netanyahu because he is the president of the nation that is called Israel. Does that mean that the nation of Israel is acting in accordance with the way the biblical Israel should be acting? Not necessarily, but it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be in our hearts that we shouldn't support. I got double negatives there. I don't know if I'm communicating this right. We should have in our hearts that we pray for Israel because we want Israel to be what God always intended Israel to be. That's how I'm kind of following through with this. I'm not going to begrudge the nation of Israel because I know that it's there for a reason and it was given that specific name for a reason. That which was intended for evil, God will use for his good. So therefore, we understand that even if it was set up by the Rothschilds and it was their land and they're profiting off of it, does not mean that God's not going to use that in the end. I do not support a lot of the things in terms of the way they acted, but then again, it's not our country. I can't tell Israel how they should do anything. Just like I don't believe Israel should be determining how we do our policies. But I do believe it is our responsibility to protect the nation of Israel, the state, not necessarily. I mean, obviously the people, but I also believe that the American experiment includes lots of the people that would be of the nation of Israel that God spoke of the 12 tribes, understanding that 10 of them are lost. So, let's see. It is a difficult and confusing conversation. And it's something that requires a lot more prayer for me to even be able to think I can have an idea as to what's going on. All I know is that my little bit of say is confused. I guess. Fire and 8 says, I love Israel and met my wife in Jerusalem. Apart from that, I suspect we are learning truth about history, things that aren't like we thought, ever learning, relearning. And I think that that's kind of what we're starting to see now, especially with the Israel lobby that's coming up. I believe that the corruption, the deep state that's in Israel as well, is also being rooted out. And I believe that there will be some clarity with that in the future. But in the meantime, it's a lot more confusing than I can comprehend. And so I guess it's one of those things where I just have to leave it in God's hands.
Right. And Brother Bill had said, this subject is not one that can be explained biblically very well in a chat. And I said, and that's exactly why we want to do a webinar with all of y'all so that we can talk back and forth.
That would be amazing.
You know, and not have to wait for the, you know, delay and stuff like that. I think that would be amazing to do.
Mike says the Bible said Israel will be a nation again. 100% correct. It didn't say how it was going to happen. Prophecy foretold.
Mm-hmm.
And Fire 8 says, yes, deep state everywhere. And I think that that's what the cleaning of house that's going on is. And I think that as we move forward, that more of these things that have been hidden will be brought to the light.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron says, I'll treat people based on their actions. Brother Bill says, there's only one chosen people, and it's only those who profess Jesus Christ, period. And then Silver says, Fire and 8, yes, that's my point. Thanks. Yeah, quite the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Can't wait for the webinar. Yeah, me too. And then Aaron, zero reason why your show could not be person talking visually and the rest of us in chat on keyboard or on phone or whatever. Yeah, let's see.
That's what. Yeah.
And then Danielle disagrees, and that's why we need to do the webinar kind of thing.
It'll be great.
We got to figure out how we're going to do that.
I gotta have everybody's emails.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, so I can send out invitations.
All right. Well, we need a way for people to get those to you separately, so that way everybody's not putting their email on blast.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, don't put it in the chats.
Yeah, don't put it
just in case y'all didn't think about that already.
Yeah.
But I know y'all are smart.
Are you ready?
Anyways, yes, I'm ready.
Would you read that, please?
Certainly. President Trump passes on opportunity to attack Elon Musk and praises him instead.
Let's listen.
All righty.
On that subject,
please. A new Gallup poll says that Elon Musk is the most unpopular public figure in the country right now. I'm wondering, do you miss having him around the White House, or is that poll accurate?
I don't know if the poll's accurate. I think he's a good person. I think he had a bad moment, really bad moment, but he's a good person. I believe that.
President Trump, so you keeping that tense?
Thoughts?
They really do live and die by their polls, don't they?
They do.
The polls say that they're poll shit. Is that what you said?
They're poll shit.
Anyways, so this is yet another twist in the saga that is whatever we want to, the Great Awakening, I guess we call this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of y'all have even said in the chats that that a lot of what's going on between Trump and Musk seems kind of scripted, in which case, well, you know, it kind of seems yet again like, you know, President Trump and Elon Musk didn't really have beef with each other, that it was expedient and it provided, I mean, think about the things that came out about that rift that happened, and then what was happening in the background while Trump and Musk were talking trash about each other on the media. There were a lot of things that happened in the background that snuck by that people didn't even recognize. So again, I think all of this stuff happens for a reason, because all of these people are playing a game at a level that most people can't even comprehend, myself included. Fire and 8 says, I don't know what's true or important about Elon Trump. I just see Trump steering news with his little finger. Yeah, he does seem to stir the pot and make things the way he wants them to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Weird.
Very. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Would you read that, please?
All right. Stephen Miller says, Autopen had suffocated the life out of the American economy.
Exactly. So we're playing roles.
Mm-hmm. And then we can't know what's really happening, in my humble opinion. Well, it's as humble as my opinion can be. I agree with you. Don't really know what's going on. We're just trying to take all of it into consideration and see what it's actually telling us.
Yep.
What's the puzzle look like?
Yeah.
I think that's half of the game in terms of what makes all of this interesting to us.
Yep. Let's listen.
All right, let's listen.
The economy was on its deathbed when President Trump came into the Oval Office. Joe Biden and the Democrats and whoever was running the White House, be it the Autopen or anyone else, had suffocated the life out of the American economy. The worst inflation we've ever seen, soaring energy prices, no investment, no innovation, losing out to the world, and the drastic overregulation of every segment and facet of the American economy. President Trump came in. Now we have the largest tax cut and reform in American history. We have the most pro-energy agenda in American history. Lee Zeldin, the head of the EPA, just did the largest energy deregulation action in American history. You mentioned the investments. I had the honor and privilege of watching the president negotiate with the EU and Korea and Japan, the largest investments in American history we've ever seen. This is the golden age of the American economy, Sean.
Thoughts?
The Autopen was definitely detrimental to everything, and I believe all of us here pretty much believe that it was done by design, not necessarily by Biden, because he probably doesn't even know who his name is. He doesn't even know what his name is. He was certainly being utilized, and that's already kind of come out. Obviously, nobody's been arrested for that yet, as far as we know. So it's all part of how things are playing out. Yet, despite all of those landmines that were put out in the field for President Trump to step on, he seems to be adeptly able to dance around all of them. And because he's able to dance around them, there are improvements in the economy. Are prices of things where they should be? No, they're not. But it doesn't mean that we're not headed in that direction. And as far as I can tell, we're seeing small increments, but at the same time, there are still other things that are preventing a lot of the free market principles to come back alive. But I do believe that President Trump really is working towards making this a free market again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's listen.
All right.
What does it mean to act like men? We live in such a crazy time that you got to start out with what is a man? Now, put this on the bottom shelf for everybody. An adult human male is what we're talking about. Well, it makes you wonder, so what is a man? It comes straight from the scriptures. 1 Corinthians 16, 13, and 14. Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong, let all that you do be done in love. Well, I'm a man, and I love to hunt, and I love to fish. My favorite color is camo. I do most of my grocery shopping with a stick and a string. I drive a four-wheel drive. I got more guns than I have fingers. I could have one on me right now. And none of that makes me a man. It makes me awesome, but not necessarily a man. According to the scriptures, when God came up with the idea of you and made you a man, he called you to be a prophet, a priest, a servant king, a provider, and a protector. We could talk about the woke mind virus that kind of ran through our culture lately, but the reality is that regardless of what our culture says about manhood, God has called us to be a man.
That is right.
Thoughts?
God has called us to be exactly what we are. And as the battle for the minds in society have tried to redefine what everything is and try to make what was traditionally masculine to be called toxic, has certainly changed the conversation. Should men be more loving than they have been in the past? Yeah, probably so. Might have been doing things a little bit ridiculous in the past, but we have to grow, and we have grown. But at the same time, we also still need to be able to recognize who we are and do the things that we are called to do. And so we must be bold in our faith and be bold in the things that we have been set here to do. And how do we be bold about that? By not shying away from the conversations about God, about what is right, what is proper. We need to not be fearful of communicating things, but at the same time, we have to understand that that offense to somebody's feelings does not mean that we're not being men. It does not mean that we're being toxic. If we are intentionally trying to piss people off, that is toxic. If we are speaking the truth, then and we're being honest, then we must let the chips fall where they may. You can't be honest if you're too worried about offending people. Thomas Paine, he who dares not offend cannot be honest. We must be honest.
Amen.
How do we fix that? By being the people God called us to be.
Yeah. Everyone says toxic.
Who said toxic? Yes, the World Health Organization said that too.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah,
Would you read that, please?
certainly. All right. Excellent rant takes down ghetto elitist Jasmine Crockett.
And Steph is right.
Okay, so before we get to that, Steph says, that's a problem. God and politics have been taboo to talk about. Yes, and those two are the two exact things that we need to talk about. Point like my opinion. I agree with you 100%. When they made politics and God things that we're not supposed to talk about, those should have been the exact things that we needed to talk about. People didn't want to talk about politics and God because they didn't have an argument and they didn't feel like losing, and so they get butthurt.
Yeah.
So get good in your conversations if you don't like getting beat in the conversation, and figure out why you feel you need to win a conversation, because nobody wins an argument. Right. So we're supposed to learn. And that means that one person needs to teach with love, and that means that the other person needs to listen with love. Right. And when one side isn't using love in their communications, it creates division. And division can easily be created with the conversation of God, and division can easily be created with the conversation of politics. We need to get better about communicating things with love, and other people need to get better about listening to things with love. And we all need to work on both of them. There's not one side that listens better than the other, because if we both listened properly, then we wouldn't have as many of the conversations that we have. Mm-hmm. What is a feeling? Yeah. Good question.
Right. You ready?
Yes.
Let's listen.
I think they're there to get stepped on, Mike.
Let's listen.
And so I want people to see him and understand who he is. This is a person that has a problem with people of color, period. I don't care how many black MAGA out there with their hats.
She said they hat.
I don't care how many black MAGA out there with their hats.
Ma'am, you weren't born in Texas. You weren't raised in Texas. You moved here to play dress up in cowboy boots and pander to blue districts. You're not a Texan. You're imported arrogance in a pantsuit.
Out there with their hats.
You mock black MAGA folk and say Trump supporters have low IQs, along with his entire cabinet.
Out there with their hats.
Funny thing is that that's coming from someone who says they hat instead of their hat.
Out there with their hats.
That's not Southern. That's just sloppy Ebonics. You talk down to Texas while butchering grammar, Texan nomenclature.
Out there with their hats.
And you do it on camera.
Out there with their hats.
You're not bold. You're not brilliant. You're just loud. You think barking on C-SPAN makes you a qualified person to lead? No, it makes you the latest clown in a circus of liberal frauds who hate America.
Out there with their hats.
But love them some spotlight.
Out there with their hats.
And then you talk about being on Trump's behind in 2026? Listen, lady, keep dreaming. You're not taking the House. You can barely take a coherent sentence and finish it with dignity.
Out there with their hats.
America's already clawing its way back out of the ruin your party caused. Remember the lockdowns, the lootings, the border betrayals, the war against our children? Remember the fatherless homes, the FBI investigating Catholics, the failing schools, fentanyl and fear? We remember that very clearly. That party was yours. That was you, your platform. And your ignorant elitist mouth cheered it all on.
Out there with their hats.
You can take your ratchet ghetto behavior back to where it came from. Real Texans are rebuilding while you run your mouth and mock us.
Out there with their hats.
You don't represent the South. You don't represent black excellence. You represent black gatekeeper classes, owned, paid for, and propped up by white liberal elitists. And we're done being lectured by you tourists.
Thoughts?
Wow, he wrecked her.
Yeah.
And I know that she's so insulated that she won't hear it, but my God, she needs to hear that. He just put it out there. Yeah. Yeehaw! Exactly. Called her an import with her pantsuit. That was great. Kudos to you, sir, because that was exactly what needed to be said in relation to her. Oh, man. Yeah. How do you follow that up? How do you, kudos, sir.
Kudos.
You said it all. Thank you. You get another boom.
Yes. That was perfect.
That was perfect. That was amazing.
Yep. You ready?
Yeah.
Would you read that, please?
All righty. The crackdown on sugary foods bought with food stamps is working.
Let's listen.
We just talked about this yesterday.
What does that take, man? So just those two? Oh, what's that one? Oh my! They didn't say which one. Girl, they didn't take the muffins. That's a deal. 188. Oh my God, that's crazy. Not even a juice. The juice, yeah, no.
They didn't take the juice for real? When they started that, it must have been this month.
Everything should.
They got 67, 51. So what's the matter?
Girl, did they take the Reese's? Let me see. They sure they take the Reese's. They ain't taking the juice. Y'all take the juices on. Yo, green juice.
No.
The Reese's, they didn't take the Reese's. Food stamps is on right now. They don't even take it.
Look, so you haven't made the lady cut the light off. No, it's okay. Come on. Let's just get the stuff. Come on.
Oh, she said keep it. She gonna keep it. Okay.
Huh, what's the balance?
Girl, so we can't buy no candy.
$14. $14.92. Okay.
They didn't take Reese's or food stamps no candy. So they went.
She seems to be really hurt about the whole Reese's thing.
I'm taking away all the snacks on BBT. What's the point of having it?
What's the point of having it? What's the point of having it if you can't buy Reese's?
Yep, that's what she said.
Deep cleansing breaths. Okay. So, yeah, the point of having it is so that you can eat real food and not fill up on a whole bunch of hollow calories that are going to bring you to an early grave. Yeah. Wow. So that's how far we've come. In my lifetime, we've gone from a stamp book, which is embarrassing, to now, why can't I buy my Reese's?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of having it? Well, I guess there is no point in having it then.
Yep.
Okay, so here we are, folks.
Yeah.
Fire Nate says, in the end, it's kindness. There's so much food from which to choose. There is.
Yeah.
But we don't need to be paying for people's Reese's. You can find a way to get some Reese's.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah.
They're getting so mad over this. They just don't get it. No, they don't get it. But I would say that people aren't getting it because they've been told about the yellow brick road that they've been following this whole time. And they've been getting away with the things that these programs were never intended for. And surprise, I remember these conversations. It's going to be a slippery slope. Everything's going to go downhill where people feel that they have the right to buy trash food instead of it's there to buy food so that you can survive until you can get up on your feet. Not so that way you can maintain your Reese's peanut butter cup lifestyle.
Yep.
Anyway, Silver says we taxpayers pay $40 million a day for food stamps, sodas, and candy. Yeah, that's got to change. That's why.
Good night, Brother Bill.
Good night, Brother Bill. Take care, man. Thanks for stopping by and your conversation. That was awesome.
Yep. You ready?
Yeah.
Would you read that, please?
All righty. Fairfax schools bankrolled student abortions without telling the parents.
Let's listen.
Tax dollars and deception of the parents.
Yep.
Yeah, the story has been spreading like wildfire on social media. A report that says school officials at Fairfax County Centerville High School arranged and bankrolled abortions for girls back in 2021 without so much as a phone call to their parents. The report says 2 pregnant high school girls were involved, at least one of them under 18 years old. I reached out to Fairfax County Public Schools about these claims, and FCPS told me they immediately launched what they're calling a comprehensive investigation into the bombshell claims, and that they take all concerns of student well-being very seriously. I asked whether district personnel ever arranged abortions for students, and if they did so in this case. FCPS said not to their knowledge. I also asked FCPS if it's their policy not to inform parents if a student comes to a teacher or other school employee asking about an abortion. They pointed me to a document that outlines the district's standard operating procedure for that kind of situation. It says, quote, every effort shall be made to encourage and support students suspecting pregnancy to discuss their concern with their parents or guardians. But to be clear, nowhere in that document does it require school staff or even suggest that they contact parents. We will stay on top of this investigation. Check here for updates and online at WJLA.com.
Thoughts?
Hold on, let me get this. Send. Okay, there we go. So why does the government feel that they have the right to do that without informing the taxpayers or informing the parents of the underage children that they're performing what I personally believe to be a sacrifice to some other deity, which would be a government sponsor of a religious practice, which I believe is unconstitutional. Anyways, Mike says he would have burned the place down if they did that. I can understand that.
Cows.
Cowbear says, remember the Rich Men North of Richmond song? 100%, man. 100%. It's
one of my favorites.
Yeah, and well, it's north of
then-
Richmond, by the way. Danielle says, say a video of a woman getting mad at the shop because she had to pay cash out of her own pocket. Now she's 100 short for rent. So dumb. Well, that's the thing is that this is how people learn what's important. Well, if rent isn't that important, your Reese's peanut butter cups are. Well, I guess you'll learn that lesson that way.
No, this was for her nails.
For her nails? Yeah. Well,
There's Randoon.
Hey, Randoon, thanks for joining. Hope everything's going good out there, man. The Constitution is natural law. It used to be.
Yeah, it used to be.
We need to get back to that.
Yep. You ready?
But as far as people, these are the life lessons that should have been taught in school. If you're running into these problems, I think you should personally sue the school system that didn't teach you how to balance a checkbook or how to do a household budget.
Right.
It's their fault. It was their job. They told us that that's what they were there to do. Guess what ain't happening? So they lied. Surprise! The government lied.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready now.
How about some Craig?
We could use some Craig.
Let's listen.
All righty.
What is anxiety? It's a signal alerting you to go to the one who loves you. Go to the one who created you. Go to the one who can help you. It's a signal. Anxiety is a signal alerting you that it's time to pray. In other words, if it's big enough to worry about, it's big enough to pray about. If it's on your mind, it's on God's heart. Be anxious about nothing, but in every situation, take your request to God. If you're worried about your upcoming doctor's appointment, pray about it. If you're worried about a decision that you need to make, pray about it. If you're worried about going back to school, who's going to be in my class? What teacher am I going to get? Are the kids going to be nice to me? Pray about it. If you're worried about your kid going back to class because you don't know how you're going to afford the scientific calculator that costs the same as a used Honda Civic, pray about it. If it's on your mind, it's on God's heart. Alerting you, it's time to pray. I love the way that Peter talked about how to handle anxiety. Peter is a guy that probably did have anxiety if you looked at the way he lived his life. And this is what he said to do when you're anxious. He said in 1 Peter 5, verse 6 and 7, he said, humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Then he said, cast all your anxiety. Do you feel anxious? Do you feel a weight? Do you feel afraid? We're going to approach it holistically, but we're always going to take it to God, and we're going to cast our anxiety on him because he cares for us.
Thoughts?
All right, anxiety. So I'm going to kind of back out of what he was saying to give more depth to what I'm going to be saying to follow on with Craig. If you are depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. We should be living in the present. So back to what Craig was talking about. If we're anxious, that is one of those signals. Like Fire and 8 said, fear or anxiety is an invitation to reach out to God. His perfect love casts out all fear. I need work here. So do I. And so it also brings up the biblical principle of do not worry about tomorrow, for today has enough worries on its own. And so again, we're living in the future, gives us fear, anxiety. Give it to God. Live in the here and now. If we can live in the here and now, that is one of the things that helps us not be so anxious, because we're dealing with the things that we have right in front of us. And if we don't have anything right in front of us, that's when we need to make ourselves busy. If you've got nothing to give yourself busy work to do, then pray until you can get that inspiration for what you should be doing. And you may end up getting something that will help make the difference for that thing that you're living in anxiety for, which is in the future. So we never know. All we know is that when we have these troubles, how fast can you run to the cross? And as we run to the cross, he's the one that lifts our heart and lifts our spirits. It's part of the battle that goes on in between each and every one of our ears every single day. Aaron says, how many Christians did what the Amish do in their own abilities? Well, yeah, nothing's perfect. We're all sinners.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fire and 8 said nowness. Yes,
yeah.
Nowness. Be in the now.
Are you ready?
Every day is a gift. That's why they call it the present.
Yep. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen.
All righty.
What you believe about God is the ceiling on your entire life. If you think that God is disappointed in you, you're going to walk around in guilt and in shame. But if you believe that God's near, that God's with you, that he's working for you on your behalf, then you're going to move different. You're going to pray with boldness. You're going to show up with peace. You're going to walk in purpose. See, most people today think that their problems are a result of their situation, what's happening around them. But that's not the real problem, friends. The real battle begins right here. It's the battle of the mind. Your mindset has been shaped by pain, by your past, by your fears, and none of it is rooted in God's truth. Romans 12 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You don't get transformed by trying harder. You don't get transformed by seeking approval. You get transformed by seeing God rightly. Because when you see him for who he really is, you stop living beneath what he's called you to be. That's why I tell my followers all the time, join the Academy of the Bible. The link is in my bio. Because your mindset needs more than motivation. It needs foundation. It needs truth. It needs mentorship. You were never created just to survive. You were made to move in freedom and in the full confidence of who the Father says that you are. Because when you see God rightly, you see yourself rightly. Called, chosen, royalty. Tap the link in my bio and join the Academy today.
Thoughts?
All right. So the way we see God is a direct reflection of our lives. I've observed that in my life, so I can agree with his statement there. And that is as I was upset with myself, I felt that God was upset with me. If I felt that God was shining upon me, then it was kind of my own version of what I thought God was. But we need to rebuild that foundation in terms of how we see God. And how we see God is a forgiving God who does want us to prosper, who does care for us, who does want us to become the fullest version of who he created us to be. And so if we recognize and appreciate even the challenges that happen in our life are designed to improve us, to burn off those impurities, so that way we're gold refined 7 times, then we're recognizing that God is turning us into what he wants us to be. And so does it make it easier to count it all joy when we're in the middle of the least joyful or at least happy moments that happen in life? Look, we're not guaranteed happiness. God is the one that gives us joy. And we covered this either, I think it was the day before yesterday, where the difference between joy and happiness. Happiness is a momentary thing where it is directly tied to something that makes us happy. Whereas joy is that even foundation where we feel filled up, in the sense that we know that our souls are saved, which should be enough for each one of us to feel joy, because we know that he loves us and that he cares for us. We may not be getting the things that we would like to see in life, which would make us happy, but it's about how we perceive the things that are going on.
Right.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Silver. I appreciate that. Yes. Do right and deal with the BS no matter what. I mean, that's kind of happiness is dodging a hammer. Hey, if that makes you happy, man, if you can dodge a hammer, you can dodge a ball.
Yep. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's listen.
All right.
What is a best friend? A best friend isn't the one who makes your problems disappear. A best friend is the one who doesn't disappear when you're facing your problems.
Thoughts?
So I've given this a lot of thought because so many people will disappear when you're having problems. They don't want to dig deep with you and find out what's going on. They just want you to stop talking about it because they can't handle it. But when someone is there and will listen to what is happening in your life, cherish that person, because they're going to be able to help you in so many ways that it is beyond measure. And if someone comes on your heart, pick up the phone and call them, because they may need you at that moment. And be that person for them. Seasoning?
Trump talked about he'd like to see what it's like to lose all of his friends. I think a lot of people go through that. I think that that's part of what we go through in our journey, is to recognize what a real friend is. And a real friend is somebody who's going to always be there for you, even when things aren't good for them. It is about that love. There is a sacrifice to friendship. There's so many proverbs through every throughout time, through every culture. If you don't walk a path, it's going to get overgrown by weeds and brambles. And so we must make sure that that path is walked frequently with the people that we consider friends, and they should walk that path as well. It doesn't need to be a one-sided scenario. We need to make sure that we are connecting with those that we love, because they need that connection just as much as each and every one of us does. So make sure that you're reaching out to the people that you do care about, and take stock that they are contacting you as well. That's extremely important, because we all need love. Now, our love, if we get no love other than God himself, then so be it. But that's just for a season in life. It's not permanently. And so we need to recognize that we are loved, and that love that you have inside of each and every one of you is there for other people as well. And as we give of ourselves, that service to others, that love to others, that love will come back to us. And it may not be for our chosen people that we've chosen to be our friends. It may come from a completely different group of people, and we never know what that is. But what we do recognize is when other people are providing that love back. And those are the things that we hold on to in life, because it's that friendship and the connection that there's another way that God lets us know that he loves us. So anyways, Left Lane says, excuse me, I'll take damn food stamps. If it wasn't for the scratch and dent place down where I live, I probably wouldn't make it through the month. I'm not kidding.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. It's society is upside down and backwards right now. And the Bible speaks about this. Read some Isaiah, and it speaks about this kind of haughty attitude. And the women with their nose rings specifically, and their ankle bracelets, or the anklets. There's a lot there. And so those who do not appreciate the gifts and the blessings that they have will
Getting
have
upset because you can't get a Reese's.
Yeah,
That
getting
really
upset.
bothered me.
Oh, it trust me, that makes me angry. But at the same time, it's one of those things where God is watching, and things are going to change, especially as we're seeing things change up at the National Command Authority level. From the executive branch, we are seeing all sorts of changes happen everywhere. And as those changes continue to happen, and as more and more people wake up to the deception that we've been under, things will get better and better. So I believe that those who have abused the system, the people that don't need the handicap placards other than the fact that they didn't feel like walking far because they felt that they were better than everybody else, the people that don't need the food stamps because they wanted that extra little kicker of cash without having even tried to do things. I know that God is going to make all of this right, and those things will be changed as time goes on. So we need to not worry about those people other than to pray for them, because that's what they need. So recognize that God does give us everything we need. He doesn't give us everything we want. I know, but at the same time, I know that everything is going to be changing because it's been upside down for so long, and so many people are tired of the way it is, which means that things have no choice but to change. And if we cling to God, then it will be done in a more godly way, which means that it will be better for everybody in the long run, and not just a select group of people.
I am clinging to God.
Me too. I didn't say you weren't.
But sometimes it's rough to
It is.
deal with.
It is rough to deal with. It's very much a challenge to deal with a lot of these struggles. And so faith. How fast can you run to the cross, folks? He's our best friend.
Yep. I'm trying to remember that, and I'm stumbling today.
It happens.
All right.
All right. Well, on that happy note, I guess it's time to call it a night. We were going to tell you that we weren't going to be here on Friday, but we can't leave the week like that. So I guess we'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, Locals, and Pill.net.
And if you haven't already, please take a minute and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on Rumble or YouTube, hit that thumbs up. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, if you're over on Pilled, take that red pill. And if you're on Facebook, you got like 7 choices. So clickety click.
Clickety click, everybody. We do appreciate each and every one of you. And we are truly grateful for all of you and the free speech principles that we have here.
Absolutely.
We do appreciate each and every one of you, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We love you all. Have a great night. Be safe, and God bless each and every one of you.
See you tomorrow night, guys. Love you.
We love you.